Hi, I'm Tom Gordon. I'm the recording arts instructor for the University of Nevada, Reno and the Mirage Sound Lab recording classes. We're at Mirage Sound Labs in Sparks, Nevada right now, here to dispel some myths and clear up some confusion of some of the sounds in the listening tests that I give. A lot of people don't know what the different parts of drums, guitars, and keyboards are, and, well, with the incredible collection of toys we have here, we're going to put some faces to the sounds. So we got a recording studio, we got gear, and we got my Madonna mic. We're going to have a good time. Let's go. I have had several students say, I hear you say drums, and when we start writing down the elements, it's like kick, snare, hi-hat, splash. I have no idea what these different elements are. So we're here to educate you as to the different parts of the drum set. And the first part is the bass drum. Often referred to as the kick drum because we're using a foot pedal to hit the drum with. And that is our anchor. This is typically what you find on beats 1 and 3. And what you put in between that is the snare drum. This is our backbeat. The snare drum is a very versatile instrument. And the reason why it sounds so attacky is because of the snare strainer on the bottom, which is a set of springs that are tight up against his head to make it rattle. There are several ways to play the snare drum. One, just the tip of the stick on the head. But any studio drummer worth their salt knows that if you get the tip on the head and the shank of the stick on the rim, you get something called a rim shot, which gives the drum a lot more attack. So in a recording, you want that extra crack to cut through the mix of all the other instruments. Now, conversely, if you want to do the opposite of that, make it softer, something that's very popular is called the cross stick, where we put the shank here and no head. So that's our foundation. That's our brick and mortar of our song. Everything else fills in the gaps in between. First of which are the tom-toms. The tom-toms are our transitions. That gets us out of the verse into the chorus, out of the chorus into the solo, or sets up the big ending. And they are similar drums, just of different sizes. Probably the most famous example is Phil Collins in the Air Tonight. We've all heard that. They are not meant to be played a lot. They're meant to be in between. Even though there are times where you can be riding on these toms, it's basically to accent what's happening with the kick and snare. All right, now we're going to talk about the cymbals on the drum set. And first one is the hi-hat. What you got here are actually two cymbals on top of each other, upside down, one underneath, that are mounted on a foot pedal so you can clamp them together when you use your pedal like this. So when you close it, you get this tone. When you open it, you get this slossier tone. And then many people will combine the two. And this is usually happening in between the beats of the kick drum and the snare drum. So this guy is the ride cymbal. This is the counterpart to the hi-hat that we talked about earlier. What this guy does is the way you did on the hi-hat, but it sustains and rings. So usually this is what jazz guys play on. It's thicker than other cymbals, so you can still hear each note when the stick hits it, but it also has a bell where you can really get a lot of abrasive overtones. So when you incorporate that in a drum pattern, you get something like this. That bell is really aggressive. So quite often when people start a song, they'll start on the hi-hat on the verse, and then they'll switch to the ride cymbal for the chorus. All right, now we're going to talk about these guys. These are called the crash cymbals, and these are the accents at the end of your drum fills. So they're a little thinner than the ride cymbal. They're also usually higher in pitch, and they're meant to be at the Mendocino cherry at the top of your drum fill. Now, some rock bands, heavy metal bands, like riding on crash cymbals, but it's very sloppy. And you really don't hear the stick attack the way you hear on the ride cymbal. So basically, we just do it to accent transitions. Okay, this guy is kind of the evil love child of a crash cymbal and a gong. It's called a China type or a China boy, and it's meant to be rather unpleasant, like a trash can lid being hit musically. Now, this particular China has rivets in it. We add rivets to certain cymbals to create a sizzle effect, also quite often seen on ride cymbals. So this is a sizzle China. This is meant for really aggressive accents in playing and a lot of hardcore riding. So you can just do it as an accent. Or you can ride on it itself. Not known for its subtlety, but some jazz guys like the finesse of riding on it. Now this cute little guy, this is the splash cymbal. This is basically a very small crash cymbal. Just a lot higher, and people use it for accents and transitions between main crash cymbals and really quick chokes. So if you listen to old vaudeville, traditional little smacks, but also cool accents like the Police and Rush use a lot of these splashes to, color things. All right, now we're going to talk about guitars and the many different tonalities they can offer us. This is Alan Griffith. He's the other engineer here at Mirage Sound Labs. He's going to demonstrate to us the many different tonalities with what we have here. First off, distorted guitar. This is about the oversaturated tubes, originally designed by Leo Fender to give us this saturated tone. So Alan's going to give us a little bit of rock and roll. All right, now we're going to pull the amp away from the edge of destruction and not have it distort so much and get a clean guitar tone. And Alan's going to play us a little dainty melody on this clean tone. Delay. This is the repeating of sound, and quite a very popular effect used by guitar players such as David Gilmour and The Edge from U2, where when you hit the note once, it automatically regenerates the note several times, and you can make it happen a little bit or a lot, and you can make patterns and rhythmic structures out of it. So now we're going to put on our best Big Floyd hat and try some delay. Chorus. Now, chorus is this event that is meant to slightly change the pitch of the guitar, so it makes it sound all dreamy and syrupy. So we're going to do something a little more jazzy, if you will. Who are the two funkiest animals on the farm? Brown chicken, brown cow. Yes, I am in fact talking about the wah pedal. Now, wah pedal is an equalizer that is put in the signal path where you can change the frequency with your foot. And that creates that big sound that is become famous for every porn film from 1970 to 1990. Hit it. The whammy bar, the single most iconoclastic rock god invention ever made for guitar, which is the device that sits beneath the bridge that allows you to bend it and change the tension of the strings. So when you push it down, the pitch goes lower. If you pull it up, the pitch goes higher. And every lead guitar player that has noodled in front of an audience has overplayed the heck out of a whammy bar. So we're going to put on our best Eddie Van Halen, and Alan's going to show what's up. You know that part of the show where they take off all of their electric instruments and strap on the acoustic guitars? Well, that's what we're talking about now. This is the origin of all that electric crap. It started here with the acoustic instruments, and it was Les Paul who first put a pickup on one of these things when his mom couldn't hear his guitar loud enough at a church function. So the entire body is a resonator, and the strings vibrate, and this amplifies the sound. So, Alan, let's have a little acoustic guitar. All right, so now we're going to move from guitar land to keyboard land, and we're going to talk about some vintage classic keyboards that have very distinct historic sounds, and this is no exception. This is a Rhodes electric piano. Sometimes you'll hear it as a Fender Rhodes. They combined for a while. And this is a very mellow instrument, not a lot of harsh high end, but still very metallic. Very jazzy. A lot of jazz people liked it, and groups like Steely Dan in the 70s just made this tone massive and legendary. It's very funky and hip. In fact, this particular Rhodes was used by Dr. Dre on Chronic 2001. What is the secret to the Fender Rhodes is the way it creates its sound with these metallic tines. So when you press down the key, a hammer, rather than hitting a string on a piano, hits a piece of metal, a metal tine that resonates. And then that piece of metal is amplified with a pickup, and that gives Rhodes their distinctive sound. All right, now we're going to talk about the most rock and roll keyboard ever made, and ironically, it was made for churches. This is the Hammond B3 organ, which was designed for churches that really couldn't afford a pipe organ. So the designers said, well, we'll create this thing that kind of emulates the lengths of the different pipes. So these drawbars actually show us numbers that show the length of the pipe. So this one, that's a 1 foot pipe. Really high. The big guy at the bottom, 16. That's the 16-foot bar. And then you can combine all the different lengths to custom make a tone. That is what these organs were so popular for, because they were so flexible. Plus, there are all these other presets. Each one of these keys down here is a different preset sound. What also makes this keyboard special is the speaker cabinet that it's connected to. It's called a Leslie speaker cabinet. Now, the Leslie speaker cabinet has a rotating speaker in it, one up above for treble and one down below for bass. And it utilizes the Doppler shift principle. So when a sound source is moving relative to a listener, the pitch changes. So as this speaker moves towards us, the pitch goes up, and when it goes away, the pitch goes down and creates this kind of wobbling sound. Right now, it's very slow, so it creates kind of a choral sound. So now I'm going to flip the switch to speed it up and listen to the tone. It'll start wobbling faster. Fast. Slow. All right. Now, the grandfather of all keyboards, the piano. Now, originally this was called the pianoforte back several centuries ago, and apparently we just got lazy and dropped the forte part, but it was showing the dynamic range of what this instrument could do. It could play very soft, which was the piano, or very loud, which was the forte. This is really a percussion instrument and has strings inside that are hit by these hammers that come up from underneath. And with that, it makes the string resonate, and then these little dampets sit on this string and rest it unless we hold this pedal down. But there's no mistaking a classic piano. And this one is courtesy of the Steinway Gallery here in Reno. It is a 1925 9-foot Steinway D concert grand owned by Reno Concert Series. And just, what can I say? It's a piano. All right, that should wrap it up. If there are any other instruments that you're not clear on, like mellotrons, balalaikas, or farfisas, well, consult YouTube for further enlightenment. We'll see you in class. Cool.